how do you actually reprogram your subconscious mind? Because here's the thing is that a lot of people try to reprogram their subconscious mind by just putting in a new program, but they're not conscious of the old program that was already playing in their life. To reprogram your subconscious mind means to become conscious of the old programming of who you think you are. Because if you do not become conscious of the old programming of who you think you are, and you just try to put in a new program without removing the old program, then what happens is there's cognitive dissonance and you can't fully shift into that new reality, right? If you believe at a deeper level that you're not worthy of having money based on something that happened in your childhood, but you just try to tell yourself you're abundant and you try to fake it till you make it, which can work to an extent. Don't get me wrong. Affirmations can be extremely powerful. But if you're just focused on the affirmations and you don't focus on the core thing that is blocking those affirmations from working, you're never going to be able to tap into the true potential of what the affirmations can really do. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I don't use affirmations that much. I have a more powerful strategy that I'm going to be sharing with you to reprogram your subconscious mind without actually using affirmations. So make sure that you stick till the end of the video, because this is something that you may have not heard before, and it is extremely powerful at reprogramming your subconscious mind without actually using affirmations. So if you're new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell, because I post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to become a private client, work with me one-on-one, then consider applying for a free consultation by hitting the website that's in the description box of this video. So the first thing I want you to understand about reprogramming your subconscious mind is that you cannot reprogram the subconscious mind if you are unconscious. If you're in a state of unconsciousness, if you're in a state of not actually being the observer of your thoughts, and you're identified to the story of who you think you are, you're not going to be able to truly tap into your subconscious mind and reprogram it. Because here's the thing is that most of us are going through our lives unconsciously attaching to our thoughts. We believe that our thoughts are who or what we are. So let me give you an example. If you have a thought that says, I'm not worthy, or I can't actually do this, we believe that these thoughts are who we are. But here's what I'm going to share with you that you may have not heard before. It's not the actual thought that is the issue. The lack-based mindset thought, or the subconscious programming maybe telling you that you're not worthy, is not actually the issue. You might be thinking, wait a second, Francis, I'm trying to reprogram my mind from the bad thoughts to the good thoughts. And that is true, but here's what I'm going to share with you. The problem is not the thought. The problem is the identification and the attachment to the thought. Because rather than using affirmations, you can just build your consciousness and awareness. And what you'll find is that you naturally start to have better quality thoughts. Because affirmations will not work if you are unconsciously attached to some story of who you think you are. If you have this ego identity, this sense of self that you've been building up for the last 10, 20 years, you can't just tell yourself you're abundant and fake it till you make it. That's not going to work. It can work, maybe 1%, 5%, 10%, but what about the other 90% of the identity that you've constructed? Where does that go? Did we just pretend that doesn't exist? Do we just pretend that the identity you've been building for the last 20, 30, 40 years, 50 years of your life just doesn't exist, and now we can fake it till you make it? Because deep inside your being, there's still going to be that attachment to that sense of self where you're not worthy of having success or money, or you're not worthy of, making this amount of money per month or doing this. So what's the solution to this? How do you actually truly reprogram the subconscious mind? Well, the first thing you have to understand is that you have to become conscious of your thoughts, become conscious of the story. Because where the story comes from is not necessarily that important. Maybe it came from childhood trauma. Maybe it came from you unconsciously agreeing to some story that somebody told you. Maybe it came from society. Maybe it came from school. Maybe it came from family. Who actually knows where that programming came from? It's not necessarily that important to identify where it came from, but to become conscious of the programming in real time while it happens. That's the key, to become conscious of the unconscious, because you cannot reprogram the subconscious mind without first becoming conscious of the unconscious mind. You have to become conscious of the thoughts that you were unconsciously attached to. And unless you do this, you're going to have this program playing in your mind forever and forever and forever until you become conscious of it. Why do you think certain people live on a loop of doing the same things every single day? The ego likes to stay comfortable. The ego doesn't actually want to change. There's some part of you that wants to change. You know the actions you have to take if you want to make more money. You know the actions you have to take if you want to live the life that you want. Technically, you know what to do. But then where's that deep self-sabotaging mechanism coming from, holding you back from your goals? It really is the unconscious identification with the mind. Okay, what does that mean? It means that we live our lives having thoughts happening in the background that we don't realize is there, but they are still there in the background controlling your experience. Most people think that just because they don't know that the law of attraction works, they think that it doesn't work. The truth is that whether you're conscious of your thoughts or not, they are still controlling your reality. So the key is to become a conscious creator of your reality. And rather than the unconscious programming controlling you, you become a conscious creator of your reality. But then here's where it gets really, really interesting. I'm going to be proposing to you an idea that you don't have to replace the old thoughts with new thoughts. You don't have to think I'm abundant or I'm worthy. In fact, you don't even have to use affirmations. You just have to neutralize the story of who you think you are and realize that it is not who you are. That's all you have to do. You might be thinking, Francis, what does that mean? It means that all you have to do is realize that the old programming was just a program and that it's not who you are. You thinking to yourself, I am not worthy, or I can't do this, or I am a shy person, I am a shy person. You having this thought is not who you are. You might think it's who you are because of the conditioning. It may seem to you that's who you are. You may be seeing a reflection on the outside of that role that you're attached to, and people are confirming that to you. But the truth is that it's not who you are. So to reprogram your subconscious mind really means to just become conscious of that. And here's the key. When you neutralize the story, of who you think you are, and you just realize that the old story is not who you are, here's an idea that I'm proposing to you that you maybe have not heard before, is that the new story will naturally just come in based on the neutralization of the old story. Your soul, or whatever word you want to use, the deeper part of you, the deeper intelligence within you will create the ideal self that you actually want without forcing it. I don't use affirmations a lot. I make my number one focus to just focus on building my consciousness and my awareness. And what happens is I start to have higher quality thoughts naturally without even trying. Okay, something happens to me, I just go, oh, well, that's happening for a reason. It's not happening to me, it's happening for me. It seems like a good mindset. Did I develop that mindset with affirmations? Not necessarily. I had so much conscious awareness and I disidentified from the story so much. It's almost like my thoughts started to just become higher quality thoughts naturally. Okay, my thought process started to naturally shift as a result of the consciousness and awareness and neutralization of the old story. So what you'll find is that you don't have to use affirmations as much as you think. What you have to do is just realize that the old story is just a story. It's just a story. It's a fiction. It's just a fiction of your mind. The story that you tell yourself is not actually who you are. It's a created fiction that comes from society. Not that society intentionally, injected your brain with false information. It's that society itself is unconscious and you absorb that. So what you have to do is unlearn who you are. Remember who you actually are, so to speak, as just consciousness and awareness. And what you'll find is that your thought process starts to naturally shift in a much more powerful way without having to use affirmations just because you're at a higher consciousness state. When you're at a higher consciousness state, you naturally have better thoughts. You naturally see the abundance in the world. You naturally start to see the world in a new way because you're not attached to the old story any longer. So naturally you start to see, well, what's left? Because even if you write a new story of being abundant, that's not who you are either. That's just the program. I'm saying transcend all the programs, transcend all the belief systems, where you are just at a higher consciousness state where good thoughts come to you and you receive high quality thoughts. They just come to you. You don't have to force them. They just come to you. I don't use affirmations that much. I use them occasionally, but what I found to be more effective is just to connect more deeply to the moment. Just continue doing my meditation daily. Continue embodying that state of presence and awareness in my daily life, not just meditating, but in my daily life, living from that state of consciousness. I find that I naturally, intuitively find the solution to the issues that I'm having. I naturally fix what's happening because I go meta. I go meta on the whole situation. I don't attach to my thoughts. I don't attach to my emotions. And so what happens is when you disidentify and detach from your thoughts and your emotions, you start to shift into a new reality where naturally you have better thoughts. It's really interesting to see. So what I'm going to be sharing with you now, just to make this totally clear to you, is what the ego actually is. Because the ego is what is blocking you from truly reprogramming your subconscious mind in the way that you could be. What is the ego? The ego is the unobserved, unconscious part of you. So just because you don't have conscious awareness of your thoughts doesn't mean that those thoughts are still not controlling your reality. Just because you don't know that the law of attraction is working in your life doesn't mean that it's not still working in your life. And so just because you're not observing your thoughts and you don't notice those thoughts in real time in your daily life doesn't mean that those thoughts are still not there. That is what we call the ego. It's when you believe that the thoughts about who you think you are actually who or what you are. But here's the interesting thing. If you can become the conscious observer of your thoughts, and there's something there that can observe those thoughts, doesn't that prove to you that you're not those thoughts? Because you're observing them. There's you as the spacious awareness, and then the thoughts that you're observing, proving to you that those thoughts are not who or what you are. But in that state of not observing, you become those thoughts. That is what we call the ego. A word to represent unconscious identification with the mind. You create a sense of identity around your thoughts. That sense of identity that we attach to is blocking you from reprogramming your subconscious mind. You try to use affirmations, but you're still attached to the old identity. You can't reprogram your subconscious mind. You try to tell yourself, I am abundant, but you still don't realize that you're thinking, I am not confident, I don't have money throughout your entire day. How is that affirmation going to work? You can use affirmations before you go to sleep. It'll work to some degree. It'll be a powerful technique. But then what about the 80% of the day that you're unconscious of your thoughts, believing that you don't have money? Where does that go? What about the 80% of your whole life that you've unconsciously already been attaching to that old story? What about that? You can't just go to sleep and use affirmations. It's not going to work. It'll work, but you're still going to be attached. You're still going to be attached. To have a true shift in your life on the surface identity level, surface meaning the structure and the programming of who you think you are, you have to become conscious of the old programming and realize that you are not even your thoughts. You are simply the conscious observer. So when you start to have awareness of who you actually are, awareness of your true identity, we can call it the true self. What is the true self? It's the awareness of thoughts. The consciousness where infinite possibilities actually exist. The consciousness where you can shift into any role that you prefer to be in. Because when you realize that a story is not who you are, now you have the freedom to become who you want to be. And when I say who you want to be, even the story is not who you are. Okay? You saying I'm an abundant person, that's not who you are. That's a thought processes that you'll become, you'll play that role, but are you that role at a deeper level is the question. I'm proposing to you that the role is not who you are. You are pure consciousness and awareness observing the role. And from this state of awareness, now you can reprogram your subconscious mind. now you can actually shift into the reality that you prefer to be in. So writing a new story is actually not needed though. I know it sounds paradoxical. You don't have to write a new story. You don't have to use affirmations. You can use them once you detach from your thoughts. But another idea I have for you, stop using affirmations entirely. Just focus on becoming the observer of your thoughts. Just focus on building your consciousness and awareness. Just focus on becoming the conscious observer of your thoughts. Neutralize the story, and you'll find that you naturally will start to shift into a new reality in a much more easier way. You'll start to realize that you have a higher consciousness mindset, is what I call it. A higher consciousness mindset. Because from the higher consciousness mindset, you start to see things for what they are objectively, which gives you a better thought process. It literally gives you a better thought process. When you're in a high consciousness, high frequency state, you have better thoughts. Most people think they have to think the better thoughts to put them into the abundance frequency. I'm saying get to the abundance frequency by neutralizing the story, and then naturally you'll have better thoughts without having to use affirmations. You don't need affirmations. But then once you tune to the abundance frequency, now you can use affirmations. Now you could use visualization. And it will be that much more effective because you're already in a higher consciousness state. When you're in a higher consciousness state, the effectiveness of affirmations becomes tenfold because now you believe what you're saying because you're already in that state. So what I'm sharing with you may be counterintuitive. Maybe you've never heard this before, but I'm sharing with you, stop focusing on affirmations. Don't use affirmations. Just focus on building your consciousness and your awareness. Do things like meditation. Contemplate your story and your identity. Who actually are you? Who are you at a deeper level? Are you your thoughts? When you say, I'm a shy person, is that really who you are? Who is the truth of who you are? This is a very debatable topic. Like, well, that's not, me shifting. That's the problem people have with affirmations. Like, oh, well, that's not really who I am. I'm abundant. That's not who I am. That's just not who I am. Of course, you're not going to be able to shift into an abundance mindset because you don't believe it's who you are, because you don't actually believe it's who you are. You believe that who you are is just a shy person. How about you transcend both of those labels? Both of those labels aren't who you are. You're the consciousness observing all of it. That will lead you to a higher consciousness state that will give you a higher consciousness thought process, that will give you a higher consciousness lifestyle, that will help you to naturally reprogram your subconscious mind without actually forcing it, without creating resistance along the way, making it easy in a flow state where your life actually becomes fun. You stop trying so hard and taking it so seriously, trying to reprogram your mind. You just become the neutral observer of thoughts, and then your mind starts to program itself by just removing the old program. That's all you have to do. Stop trying to reprogram your mind. Just remove the old program, and then the new program will come in naturally because universal intelligence will guide you to that from the higher consciousness state. Okay? Stop trying to reprogram your mind. Deprogram the old program. Unlearn what you've learned. That's all you have to do. Become the conscious observer. Become the conscious observer of your ego. And here's the thing, when you become the conscious observer of thoughts, there's no more ego. It's just you observing that thought. Just you, thought form. That's it. It's not who you are. It's just a thought form. But when you're in the ego state, the thought form becomes who you are. You become so serious. You attach to that thought. You create a sense of identity around that thought. That's the program that you were attached to. Deprogram that. Unlearn that. Become the conscious observer. And then you will see that your mindset starts to shift naturally from a state of being present to the moment and being conscious, that you don't have to try so hard to reprogram your mind. Because when you're in a state of presence, in a high frequency state, you don't even have that many thoughts to begin with. You're just at a high frequency state of abundance, just being present. Okay? Become more present to the moment. Start to enjoy the process more. Start to connect to the truth of who you are. Don't just observe your thoughts. Align your life from the higher consciousness state. And you'll see that your thought processes start to change in a much easier way without trying it. You don't need to use visualizations, affirmations, wonderful tools. But if you don't have a foundation of consciousness, they're never going to work in the way that they could. So that's all I have for you today. If you like this video helped you to have a deeper understanding of what it means to reprogram your subconscious mind, make sure you give this video a like and a comment so that I can see that this video actually helped you and you can help more people actually see this kind of information. Also, I wanted to announce that I have a free guided meditation that's specifically designed to connect you deeper to the moment and build that awareness that will inevitably help you to reprogram your subconscious mind. So it's completely free. You can try it out by hitting the link that's in the description box of this video. I'll also leave it as a comment in this video, and it's completely free. You can try that out. So that's all I have for you today. Have yourself a great day and see you in the next video.